How is everybody doing today? In this video, we're going to be looking at my top 5 players that are on the verge of being released from the Detroit Lions in 2019. Now, the Detroit Lions actually begin joint practices today with the New England Patriots, and then they will have their preseason game later on this week. So, we will be looking at the joint practices takeaways earlier on in the day, but at this point, we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 players that may not make the team for 2019. So, let's get right into the video. That's right, everybody. So the Detroit Lions have started joint practices today with the New England Patriots. So it's a good time. It's a really fun time for the Detroit Lions. As we know, this means their season is about to begin. The preseason starts this week, so it's a super fun week for the Detroit Lions. With that being said, I will have my takeaways from the joint practice coming out later. But in this video, we're going to be looking at my top 5 players who are on the verge of being released or waived or cut, however you want to say it, from the Lions this season. Now, we're going to be looking at players that are basically veterans, not rookies. I'm not going to throw Bo Benshaw in here because, that's not really fair. I mean, he's a rookie. Obviously, rookies can get cut. These guys are very young. But instead, we're going to be looking at guys that maybe are a little bit of veterans for the Detroit Lions, have been here before, and now this is their time that they may be released. Being on the verge does not mean you will be released. It just means there's a chance that you may be. Like, you're right on the edge. Either you will or you won't. There's a chance you could be. So you got to play really well through the rest of training camp. You have to do well through these joint practices. Everything has to go very well for these players. Start this off. Coming in at number 5, I have a safety for the Detroit Lions, and that is Davon Wilson. Davon Wilson is definitely a veteran for the Detroit Lions. He has been here for multiple years. But Davon Wilson, you would say, is one of our more talented safeties. The problem is, it's going to be very hard to find a spot for him. We already have our top 2 safeties in Quandre Diggs and Tracy Walker. Then we have Will Harris, who we drafted in the 3rd round, who I don't see going anywhere. So that brings you to 3 safeties. I'm thinking they keep 4, maybe 5. Well, if they keep 4, maybe 5, Myles Killebrew is definitely in that mix, but we're not sure. So say Myles Killebrew doesn't make it either. We'll still pick another safety, right? So you would think Davon Wilson, but no. I'm actually going to go with Andrew Adams, who has been playing super well throughout this whole training camp this offseason. Andrew Adams has proven to me that he deserves to be on this team, so I would put him in next. And then you could put a guy like Charles Washington in there for special teams. So I think Davon Wilson, there's a chance that he's on the verge of being cut this season. It would be tough to see Davon Wilson go. And again, if one of these guys are your favorite players or you really like one of these players like with me, I really like Theoretic, but he was released. It was hard to watch. It was sad for me because now he's with the Broncos, who we will play later, and that's going to be a tough game to watch. But Theoretic did have to leave. That's just a move that Detroit Lions had to make. They had to move on. And as long as we have success, I guess that makes up for the fact that we lost on Theoretic. Now, coming in at number 4, I have a cornerback, and that is Michael Ford. So a lot of these players are on the defense side of the ball, and Michael Ford is definitely a big one. Michael Ford came in last season as an undrafted free agent, did a lot of good things for the Lions. One of the newer players on the Lions. But the problem is, it's going to be hard to find him a spot. When you look at our cornerback position, obviously it's Darius Slay, Justin Coleman, Rashawn Melvin as your top 3. And then you have to look after that. Well, Amani Oruwariye is definitely going to make the team as a rookie. He's been playing well. He could have a big role in 2019. Now you have, really, it comes down to 2 players in my opinion, and that's Michael Ford and Teez Tabor. Which one of these guys make the team? Some people want to say Michael Ford, some people want to say Teez Tabor, but then you have other guys in the mix. You have guys like Marcus Cooper, you have Andre in there, you have definitely other options than just those guys. And also we brought in someone else, who I'll get to in a second, that could also be competing for that position. So Michael Ford is on the verge. We are not sure. I'd say it's a 50-50 right now whether or not he makes the team. Now, coming in at 3, we have our first offensive player and our only offensive player, and that is Brandon Powell. Brandon Powell, the wide receiver for the Lions. You could throw in guys like Andy Jones, but I think Brandon Powell is definitely a fan favorite amongst the wide receiver positional group that may not make the team. Brandon Powell is a guy that's coming for the Detroit Lions. He's been a nice backup kind of piece. He's been nice to work with the team. Again, not a lot of room for him to make this 53-man roster, though. When you look at the wide receiver spot, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay, Danny Amendola are your top 3. Then after that, you have to make some decisions. I believe Jermaine Kearse gets in. I believe Travis Fulgham gets in, and that's 5. Who knows if they're going to hold more than 5 wide receivers? I would say that's probably where it's going to sit. If they held one more, then he could get in, but there's still a lot of competition there with guys like Andy Jones. So with that, I don't know if Brandon Powell does make the team. I think he's definitely on the verge of not making it, but since he is a fan favorite, I had to throw him in here. And now we move on to number 2. So the top 2, coming in at number 2, I have the safety, Myles Killebrew. So is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? I think that's very important. Now, I think Myles Killebrew brings some other things to this team that really gives him a good chance to make the team. Now, the first unofficial depth chart was actually brought out, and they said that Myles Killebrew was a safety. But I believe Myles Killebrew can definitely be a linebacker, and if he moves that linebacker spot, he could make the team. But if he stays at that safety position, we just have so many safeties. Again, it's going to be hard to find a spot for him. Now, say Myles Killebrew makes the team, Davon Wilson is definitely out. Davon Wilson makes the team, that maybe Myles Killebrew is definitely out. So Myles Killebrew and Davon Wilson really go hand in hand, and that's why he's on this list. And now finally, let's hop into number one. Coming in at number one, the guy that is on the verge, like the absolute verge, and it's now even worse because of a day-to-day injury. And it's Teez Tabor. So Teez Tabor, a guy that I have so much belief in. I'm really hoping this guy comes back, makes the team, and has a big impact 2018. But he may not. He may not even make the team. Teez Tabor is a guy for the Lions that is dealing with a day-to-day injury right now, and we just signed Tavares McFadden to really help out with that depth. Now, you would think, okay, maybe that's just a free agent sign. Maybe they just brought him in for a camp body until he gets healthy. Maybe not. Tavares Jackson is a very talented player. He was great in high school. He was great in college. He hasn't played a lot in the NFL, but now he's with the Lions. This guy could actually earn a spot. And again, it comes back to that deep cornerback class. If Michael Ford makes it, I don't see a spot for Teez Tabor, especially if Tavares McFadden makes it. So it's really going to be tough for Teez Tabor to get on this team. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he may do it, he may not. He's definitely on the verge, and he comes in at number one for that reason. So with that being my top 5 list, again, we will get into joint practices later. I'm sorry this came out a little late. Haven't been feeling very well, so I kind of had to wait on it. I'm trying to get these out, but I just had to wait a little bit longer. So I apologize, but we will have that joint practice video coming out soon. So make sure you guys are here and you guys are ready for that video. Anyways, thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.